Hi, Amy. It's good to see you here. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Rita. Can you ladies hear me okay? Let me know. I was having some technical difficulties. I don't know if you guys saw another one or I came on earlier. Hi, Kelly, Andrea, Anne. It's like being in a dark room. Uh-oh. Can you not see me or hear me? Hi, Chris. Yes, I can hear you. Can you see me? Because someone just said it's like being in a dark room, and I'm not sure if you cannot see me. Can see you now. Okay. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? If you're new to my channel, my name is Rowena, and I am the designer for the Sojourner Travelers Notebooks and Planners. I see you, can see you and hear you. Yay. Hi, June. Look, I think this is your first time here. Anyway, for those who are first time here, hi, Judith. Welcome. It is Tea Talk Thursday. And really quick, I just want to give a quick update on leather issues. Oh, welcome, June. Solomon is due to arrive any day now at my suppliers, and I called today and it's still not here. So it is being flown in. There's a few pieces that are being flown in for me specifically, and so hopefully it'll get here real soon. There might be a holdup in customs, I'm really not sure, but it's not here today, and I'm hoping by next week it'll be here. I'll keep you guys updated on my welcome page on the website. I usually comment on those pieces. And also the same thing with Mizpah. Which leather is more durable, Solomon or Stag? Let me just finish with Mizpah. That is the same issue. Hi, Bree. That's the same issue with Mizpah, waiting. That is coming from another part of the country. And so once it gets to them, they have to still ship it to me, which can take probably, I mean, if it came today, which I'm going to check tomorrow to see if it came in, it will take at least Monday before they can send it out. And so it might be the following week before I can get my hands on it. And so anyway, that's just a little bit of an update. As far as the question, Solomon or I think it was Stag, I would say they're both durable. It is leather. And so leather, hi Robin. So leather is very durable no matter, I think, in my opinion, what kind it is. As long as it's not too, it just really depends durability wise if one's thicker and one is thinner. And I think for the purposes of journals, it doesn't really matter because, or I'm sure it matters some, but not so much because there are different, because we're not really, they're not shoes or handbags. And so the durability, they're all pretty durable. But I would say, of course, the Stag is a little bit thicker than the Solomon. But I don't know, I think they're both durable. So, hi, Melly Rose. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my topic today. I actually wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today, which is typical of me because my mind is all over the place. And so I always have lots of ideas, but to know exactly what I'm going to talk on that day, I really don't know. So I just happened to look down, and I was just going to come on and talk about what's going on in the studio, but I happened to look down on my chair, and I have all those little pieces of paper that we used for the giveaway and the questionnaire. And so I thought I would choose one and see if it's something I could talk about. And so I'm telling you this because this is pretty much on the fly. I would have to say if I sat and thought about it, my opinion that I'm going to express right now may be slightly different, but not really, if you know what I mean. And so I'm going to be as candid as possible on this subject, which is on business. And I wrote down a couple of notes for myself just so I can keep focus. Hi, Jackie. And so, but I will be very honest with you, as I always am, actually. I I will let you know if there's something I don't want to answer or I cannot answer or what have you. But I'm pretty much an open person, and so. Hi Elena. So I'm gonna try. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to ignore some of the comments here because I get distracted. But please comment with each other and go ahead and chat. That's not a problem for me. It's just I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring the questions if questions come up. But I would prefer you ask me towards the end so that I'm not spending more time than I need to, because I know everybody's times are very important, and so I want to get to this subject. So someone asked me, and that's what I'm reading here. Roberta had asked, and her handle is Anarcone. And so anyway, she said, Rowena, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I love your designs. What advice would you give someone for starting their own business? What is one thing you would have done differently in starting your business had you known then what you know now? Roberta. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are aware. Well, some of you are, I'm sure, but let me just give you a quick background. I have a degree in graphic design, and I was a freelancer for several years. But my love has always been in art, and at first it was really in clothing design, but basically I was not allowed to go into that, and I didn't have the freedom to go into what I wanted to go into. And so through my husband, meeting him and everything else, he encouraged me, and so I did finally go into school for art, and that happened to be in graphic design. And so I do have a BFA in graphic design, and I did work in that industry for a while. But anyway, there's actually a whole story on that that's kind of interesting there too, so I'll share that someday. But so coming from that, as I began to homeschool my children and I started having children, I have two of them, Krista and Kayla. They're 24 and 22, very beautiful young ladies. I felt called to go into homeschooling, and so I did. I went from kindergarten to when they were in high school. Having said that, we have always had a business prior to my children, and that is because from my husband. He has an electronic business in the weighing industry, and so he's a manufacturer, and I've always been involved in it in one way or another. I used to manage a movie theater when I was younger, and so I had experience on business. But in general, business-wise, it's not like I went to school for business. I went to school for graphic design. My husband didn't either. In fact, he actually does not have a degree, but I would say he's probably the smartest man that I know. He is very intuitive, very much an entrepreneur and an inventor. And so we got married. I feel like I have to give you a little bit of background here so that you can kind of know where I'm coming from. And so then he started a business. Most of the time, because I had the little kids at that point, I was more of his consultant. He would come to me for financial decisions and things like that. But when it came down to it, of course, he was the sole breadwinner. During that time, I would get into things such as something artistic. I felt called out from being a freelancer, graphic design, to teach at home or to be at home with my kids. I felt that was a calling, and I needed to answer that call. And so that's what I did. It was very difficult because I was always in business. I always had aspirations of becoming, just being in business. I mean, it was kind of in my blood, so to speak. And so while I had the kids and I was at home with them and I'm homeschooling them, I would find little things to do that had to do with art. And then I end up selling it or doing something. I don't know. I always went in that direction. And so at the last part of it, before Sojourner, I actually became a photographer, and I was a professional wedding photographer for quite a few years. And was doing really well and enjoying what I was doing. So anyway, all that to say, that's kind of my background. I've always been kind of in business since my husband and I have had the manufacturing company and all of that. And so now coming back to the question here, as far as business is concerned on how to get started and all of that, I need to look at my notes here. It's kind of bright. Okay, so that's the question. What advice do I have for someone who wants to start a business? First of all, I would say, for me, pray. For those who are Christians, who are believers, pray. You need to pray about it and seek the Lord. Having said that, a lot of what took place with Sojourner had to do with me just feeling like I needed to do more. If you know my story, I'm not going to rehash it here. I've talked about it before in Vlogtober, but definitely that's number one. But the other thing is that after that, you really need to know why. I feel you really need to know why you want to start a business, and you need to be very honest with yourself. You need to, whether if it's for money because you need to help your family, or if it's because you've always wanted to own a business because you can own a business, or if it's because perhaps a ministry opportunity, which that is a huge part of Sojourner. I'm not going to say that that's how it was on all my businesses. It wasn't, but for Sojourner, it definitely is, because we give a portion of sales towards disaster reliefs and other nonprofit organizations. And so you really need to know why. And you need to be honest with yourself. Is it just because you think it's glamorous? That's totally fine. But know why it is that you want to start a business. Because if you do not know and you do not have that why, and you do not, you're not clear on it, your passion will fade. There will be times, many times, it's going to be very difficult. And you're going to need to look back and go, okay, this is why I wanted to start this. And it's just important. To me, it's very important, because you need to know and you need to be encouraged in the future of why you're doing what you do. I'm not saying that you cannot not have that in mind. Some people can, but it's a good fallback in case you get to a point where you get frustrated and all of that, and those times will come. And having said that, I need to clarify something. Number one, this is my own opinion, and this is the circumstances of having, this is why I told you guys a little bit of my background and my business background, and that's because that's my experience in the past, right? And so moving forward, that's what you experience in the past kind of decides what you're going to do today. Okay, so my past, having the experience of having the manufacturing company, having had a business, knowing what it takes to have a business, all of that is in consideration when you start when I started this Sojourner. Okay, and so I guess I just want to say, I don't want you to feel like this is the only way to start a business. This is just my own personal, through my experience, okay? I just want to say that at the top here, at the very forefront. So anyway, so there's that. So you need to know why. The other thing is that you really need to ask your mate, your husband or your wife or your significant other, whatever. You need to ask that person, the person that you live with, because like I said, it is not easy to start a business. There's a lot that you could probably imagine what it's like, but yet there's so much more to it. And I think that a lot of times when people think of a business owner, they think it's glamorous and that you've got all this vacation or trips that you can take. but that's not necessarily true. There's definitely perks in owning your own business because you can make your own decisions. However, it's really super not easy, and just alone in, I know for me and for my husband, we're always thinking business. It's always about business. And I can't explain why that is. It's just that it's just our lives. And I've mentioned it before that we have gone on a trip with my daughters, who at that time were both business majors. And none of us, I asked them to not talk about business, and we lasted 45 minutes, and that was it. And that is how it is today. When we get together, we're talking business. It's just in us, I guess. And in fact, well, the thing is that my daughters must have not had any adverse effects towards it, because they did go into business, and that was not anything we required. They're actually both very talented in the arts, not artistic as in photography and all of that, but more they're great actresses. They're also they can also sing. They are classical pianists. I mean, I thought that they would go into something in the arts like that, and they didn't. They both wanted to go into business, and so it must not been so bad growing up with us. But anyway, and so yeah, so you need to ask your mate, because they're going to be part of that business whether they like it or not. And for us, I'm pretty sure it's pretty unique that a husband and a wife has businesses, and they're both different businesses. And so, I mean, I don't hear of that often. And so that's even more difficult, because I can't really ask for a lot of help from my husband. I can ask him advice, definitely, and that's what I often do. But he can't really help me, because he's got his own business he has to take care of, if you know what I mean. So let's say production is high production, and I need help in producing. I really can't ask him to help me, because he has his own thing. And same thing with marketing. I can't ask him to take over my marketing or sales or any of that, because he's got his own to do. So that's even more difficult. So definitely ask your mate. And also, having said that, ask your children. If you have children at home who are old enough to be able to give their opinion, and I'm not saying that you're not going to start a business because they said you shouldn't. I'm just saying, ask their opinion, see what they think about it, and perhaps you can have them join you in that venture, and maybe do some things to help you in business. And you could, you know, with my daughters, ever since they were very little, 5 and 7, I would say about 5 years old, we would have them come to work, and we would give them little tasks. And probably that's why they got to the point to where they felt very comfortable about business, and they're really very much problem solvers today, because they've been steeped into it since they were very young. And it's not something they resent, apparently, because like I said, they're both in business. And so I remember those days when we would have them do certain things that, yeah, interesting. Excuse me. And no, it's not child labor. But also, when my daughter, my eldest, was in high school, I would have her come to our Monday meetings, and with the purpose of letting her have a feel of what it's like and what we talk about. So we involved them, and she was in high school. And so by the time she got to college, her first semester, and I've said this before, I've talked about this before, she had said to me, you know, Mom, I feel like, yeah, I feel really good about going into what I'm going into, which is the business admin, because I know a lot actually already of what the professor talks about. And when I asked her, why do you think that? And she said, apparently it's because I must have been listening the whole time. And so, you know, there were some definitely good things about that and the perks. But again, ask your mate, ask your kids. The other thing is, this is something that, especially in the artistic industry, I see this as a huge issue with a lot of people. Whatever artistic industry they're in, I see it all the time, is that people start their business and they do not know what they are worth. Or possibly they know what they're worth, but they don't have the confidence. You know, confidence is something that you have to exercise. I think anybody can have confidence. You just have to exercise it like a muscle. And too many times people have skills and they go and they start something, again, mostly in the artistic realm. I see photographers who want to be wedding photographers. I'll give that as an example. And they charge minimal amount, okay? Basically nothing. Number one, I would not take anybody's wedding pictures if I did not have the skill, because whether they're not paying me a whole lot of money or not, I would feel very responsible if I did something where I could not produce the wedding pictures, and that is the one time they're going to have that hopefully happen in their lives. It's very important. So I would not be taking wedding pictures unless you know what you're doing. And so for me, I always did, I second shot a lot before I took on my own weddings. But even then, I probably second shot one free wedding. After that, I knew I had enough skills that I knew I could second shoot, and I was charging. And I was charging the going rate, maybe slightly less, but really not that much more. And so my thing that I'm trying to get you to understand, if you're starting your own business, is please do yourself a favor. Don't underestimate what you're worth. Be very honest about it, okay? But you know, I see people putting out products and people ask me all the time how much I think it should be worth. And, you know, all you have to do is look around and see what people are paying for those products. I see people charging so much less. I'm just in their journaling industry. There are people who charge a lot less, and people get all excited about it, and they're like, oh, so and so is making this, you know, now making traveler's notebooks or folios, and it's only this much, and it's beautiful leather, etc., etc. And your work might command more than that, but you want to start out inexpensive because you want to get the business. And I would really highly disagree with doing it that way, because you know what's going to happen. Number one, okay, let's just say, okay, I'll just give an actual example. It's just easier for me. Our passports are what, $35, I think, or $38 when I started it, and it's still that price right now. And let's say that you start making those, okay, just the regular passport for $15, less than half of what the going rate is, let's say, okay? What's gonna happen is that you're gonna get all these customers, and they're gonna purchase all of this from you, and they're gonna be so excited about it, and then the word is gonna get out. And then all of a sudden, you're gonna sit back and you're gonna go, oh my gosh, all this that I have to do for $15 a pop, I can't do this. You cannot sustain that. So you have to be careful, because then what are you going to have to do to sustain it? You're going to have to raise your prices. Then when you raise your prices, guess what? People are going to go, wow, that's kind of greedy of her, right? So that's my point. You do that on the business side of it, it can backfire. That's just my opinion, like I said, but that very much can happen. Now, I'm not saying you can't go a little bit less than the going rate. I'm not saying that, but understand that you're going to have to sustain what it is that you are doing in the first place. Otherwise, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So know your worth and don't be shy about saying, you know what, this is what it's worth, you know? And hopefully you have money put aside that you're not going to end up going in debt because you bought too much or because you couldn't sell at whatever price it is. I mean, I've always started at the very beginning and what I felt my notebooks were worth. I mean, I'm an artist and that says something for what I produce. So you won't see, and that's kind of the same thing with sales. You know, sales are coming up right now and people are going to be asking, do you have, what is that, Friday sale after Thanksgiving or a sale for Christmas? And I just don't do that. And the reason being is that, you know, what we do is a craft and it's handcrafted, and I think it's worth what we ask for. And if it's not, then, you know, you can go to a different company if you want to. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I appreciate everyone's business. I truly do. But I am not going to sell myself short. I've just never, that's never been my business model. That's never been my husband's business model. We've just always known what we're worth or what our product is worth. We just make a point of sticking by that. And then let's see what else. Would I have done anything different? I would say no, I would not have done anything different because honestly, the way things happened, and if you know my story, it just kind of like happened. It just one thing after another. That's not typically how I did things as far as whenever I'd start a business. I was a little bit more, I've thought about it a little bit more. With Sojourner, I just went one step at a time. And as I've said before, I told my husband at a certain point, I said, just let the Lord take me one step at a time, because this is the first time I've done something. I started a business, and it's not just for my own self. I have a lot of reason backing it and why I'm doing it. So let the Lord let me take one step at a time. And so that's where I'm at today. And so, yeah, so I really would not have done anything differently. I think that all of the things that I experienced, although maybe not everything is positive, there are some negative things, of course, but I think those are all learning. Those are all about learning. And I've learned a lot, and I've trusted a lot, and I'm truly living a life that I want to live. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I enjoy being able to minister to people through Sojourner, and I cannot tell you or explain to you all the details on that, but however, I feel like I know my purpose, and I'm definitely fulfilling the purpose that I've been given. And so anyway, having said that, the other thing, my last advice would then be to just, once you know all of those above things and you know why you want to do what you want to do, I would just start, because a lot of times we overthink things, and the more you overthink things, the more you lose confidence. And you know, what would it hurt? I mean, of course, if you're going to put in a lot of money into equipment and things like that or whatever, yeah, that could hurt if you don't make it happen. But too many times I think we stop ourselves instead of just going, you know what, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. You know, we instead stop ourselves and go, what if, what if, what if? And I get that there is going to be some of that, but you know, if you know why you want to do what you want to do and you have a passion for it, I say just go for it. Again, I would probably look back in this and go, you know, I would change a couple of things in what I said here. So just bear that in mind. I am going off the cuff here at the top of my head, what I'm thinking. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. If you guys have anything you want to talk about on the comments, feel free to do that. However, if you have any comments, let me know right now. I've killed a lot of ideas with what ifs. Exactly. Yep. And I will have to tell you, when I started this, because we have the other business, it's easy for me to go and start it with the money that I could from the other business, right? It would be totally acceptable because I am part owner of that business. However, I did this completely on my own, as far as I did not take money from the other company to start my business. And that's just how I wanted to do it. I'm not saying that is the only way to do it, but that's how I wanted to do it. That's how I wanted to prove myself. And it's not to prove myself to my husband. It's not to prove myself to anyone else, but it's to prove to my own self. So that's why I did it the way I did it. Any other questions or comments, you guys? Sorry if this is long. Are you guys still there? Everybody's so quiet. Did you agree, disagree? Questions, comments, complaints? You know, mastermind groups to help with your business. I started my business in May of this year, and there is so much to learn. I'm not sure what that means. Do you recommend any business books? I do. I can't remember the name. Oh, the What's Good Amount to Start a Business. It's called Marketing. I think it's by Seth Godin. All Marketers Are Liars. Sort of networking group to help with accountability, info sharing, etc. I actually do not know of any, and I don't belong to any. So I don't know. It'd probably be a good idea for me to do that. However, I do not know of any. I'm sorry, what was the other question? I should be writing this down so I don't forget. Oh, how much to start a business? I really don't know. It depends on what you're starting. I mean, I remember that when we started the other company, this is like 25, 28 years ago, and it's a manufacturing company. We probably, that's a whole story in itself too. I mean, it's interesting. But anyway, I think we started with 12 grand. That is not what I started with Sojourner. There is so much to learn with social media, website technology, etc. It is a lot. Yes, it definitely is a lot. And I would agree what you said. After many failed attempts, pray before starting anything these days. And yes, and definitely knowing why you're doing what you're doing, you know, because like I said, a lot of times when you have those down times, and when you have those times of insecurity, when you don't, you know, when you have those times where you don't have orders or what have you, you start going, ugh, am I supposed to be doing this, you know? And yes, it's a lot to learn, and the social media is a huge thing. I started with Instagram, and I will tell you, I didn't put a lot of emphasis on any of that. I just really wanted to share, and I started on Instagram, and it was just kind of haphazard start, but it just started blowing up, and then it got to that point to where I started the business, and it was cool. But I would say I didn't worry, and other people will say differently. I didn't worry too much about social media. I only worried about talking and connecting with people. That's what I cared about. Did you ever do Etsy or just selling on your website? I started with Instagram, and they would email me through Instagram. That is how I started. And I just was cleaning out one of my drawers and I saw the book where it has all IG posts feel genuine and not like you're pushing your product. And that's something, well, anyway, I saw my book that showed the how I was taking orders. And yeah, so that was really cool. I have been so inspired by your business model. You are very true to your mission and your product. I have great respect for that. Thank you so much. And you know, like I've said before, my business is not, and even my husband's business is not how it's normally done. If you saw my previous vlogtober about it, anyway, go back and watch that, because I'm honestly telling you, it's not conventional the way we've done things, but we've been very blessed. But yeah, I started on Instagram and I never went through Etsy, and I have reasons for that. Your video about business was my favorite. Love that you do it your way. Thanks. But you know, like I said in the beginning, just because it's been a success for me doesn't mean it's going to be for the next person. I'm on Etsy, but I'm considering moving to selling on my website. Email me, a little creative, and I will give you some info. Charging what you're worth is the hardest. Oh, I didn't see the rest of that. Yes, it is. But you know what? Like I said, it's just like that muscle. You have to use it to work it. And you know, I don't know what else to say. It's very difficult for people. That's just never been my business model. I just don't believe that way. I just don't. And anybody that comes to me and asks me about my opinion or my advice, that's always what I'm going to say. You know, I just don't think it's going to hurt you in the long run, in my opinion. You're either going to end up quitting because it's too much work for the little money that you're making or what have you. You could be making more working retail perhaps. I don't know, but you know, me too at Jude Marshall. So yeah, I don't like to push product. I give information on the product of what we have and what we do, but I don't ever want to be someone who pushes product, you know, because there are many makers out there and there are many people who like my product versus another product and vice versa, and that's totally okay. I really appreciate your transparency about business. I needed encouragement and knowledge. Well, you can email me and ask me questions when taxes. Ooh, I just saw the word taxes. Taxes are very important. That's another thing that you have to, a lot of people start out their businesses and they don't pay taxes. And I just totally do not agree with that. You need to pay Caesar what's due to Caesar. When I was a business, taxes killed me. How do you deal with that? You just make more product and you sell more product. We pay a lot in taxes, and we constantly think of leaving California because it's even worse in California. But you know, it's something that you have to do. You know, it's a law. You have to pay taxes, and so you need to be smart about what you have to do. The things that you need a good accountant who can tell you what things you can do to lessen, you know, that pain of paying thousands. Taxes aren't optional. Exactly. And in the long run, if you don't pay your taxes and you're not going by the law, I don't think it's going to be blessed. And so that's not something I compromise with at all. And that's an integrity that you need to have if you're going to start a business. If you're going to start a business and you're not going to go by the law like that, I don't suggest it. Leaving California was a decision I don't regret. We are business friendly here in Nevada. Oh, that's great. But if you guys have any questions, specific questions, and you want to email me and get my thought on it, I will try to email you as soon as I can. Right now we're in a busy season of production, but I'll definitely get to you at some point, because I love to be able to help people out if I can. And I have a definite advice I will email you on. Okay, I have definite advice as far as whether you should go website or another means. So do email me if you want to discuss it further. But anybody else have any quick questions that I might be able to answer now? I hope that I've not steered anybody in the wrong direction. Like I said before, I just speak from my own experiences, and my own experiences are unique to myself and to my family and to my husband. That will be the same for you. Oh, do not message me on IG. Just today I found out that I had some IG messages that I never read. So if it has anything to do with stuff you need answer to, don't message me on IG. Please email me at sojournerusa.net. Otherwise, I may never see it. And plus, it's hard to type on Instagram. Quick things, you know, that I can type, no problem, and little conversation type things. But when it comes to business or asking me about product or whatever, it's really best to do it on email. Then I will get to it. So anyway, if you guys don't have any other questions, but like I said, I hope I've not steered you wrong. It's unique to myself. It's unique to my family, the way we do things. And you may find that you will do things differently than I have. And that's totally fine. You need to work with your experiences in the past and with your mate, what they would like. Is it difficult sourcing material? I wouldn't say it is, but you have to do your homework on that. So, and the processes, you have to do your homework on that. Yeah, I don't think it is. There's always a way, but you're going to you're going to need to do some footwork. And don't be afraid of doing that footwork. That is, you know, take pride in that time that you're going to take to research these things, because you need to be informed and you have to kind of know what you're getting into. Having said that, we think, like I said, we think too much about it and then we just don't do it. Produce excellent work and excellent product. It is, to me, it's huge for me, because that's my integrity, that's my reputation. And so yes, sometimes things slip, but you can know that if you get a Sojourner product, we consider that, we do consider it highly. We don't just send things out without QCing it. And girls, you know, I'm all about speed, because I want to get the product into people's hands. But you know what? I will not compromise on quality. I will not compromise on standard, because I know what I charge and I know what it's worth. And if I do any less than what it's worth, I will not be able to sleep at night. So that's another thing that's very important, you know. Don't shortchange your customers. And I have great customers, and my customers are mostly repeat customers, and I highly respect them, and I'm very thankful for them. And I do not shortchange. It's just not part of me. If orders, off topic, if one orders a surprise leather, is it usually earth tone colors? Not necessarily, but most of the time it is. But if you have that, if you want something that's more earth tone, you can totally tell us that, and then we will do as best as we can. We're not going to send you yellow or pink or orange. But if you just say, hey, you know, any surprise will do. Thank you. Great discussion. Thanks, June. I don't have a, if that's what you want, then sometimes if I know the customer, then I'll make a decision based on that. But I can't remember everything, just so you know. So it's best if you put on there you don't want earth tone colors, or if you just really want to be surprised, then say, surprise me. Because, yeah, I have some cool leathers that we don't have a lot of, and sometimes we use those. Hi, Suzanne. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go, you guys. Thanks a lot for sharing. I'll be in touch. Okay, sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and go because actually my husband's going to pick me up, and we're going to go to LA because I need to get some supplies, and some of them. I can't get all of them, unfortunately, but some things I can. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for my subscribers. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so. And you will you will get these kinds of content. I always want to deliver content to you guys, and so if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment below. And if you are not on here live to ask questions, feel free to have a discussion and comment, and I will try to answer it as quickly as I can. I always love to talk business. I enjoy it. And so yeah, comment below if you have any questions, and I will try to get to them. So anyway, until next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, keep on documenting life as it happens. Bye-bye.